What's up, guys? Good afternoon and welcome to Roma Theory and welcome to the 2026-2027 Serie A season. I can't wait for it. It kick-starts in about half an hour. I believe Inter are starting it. They're kicking off the first game with Como 2 away at Udinese. I'm excited. I'm very, very excited for what this season has to offer. Serie A, Champions League. Look, let's start off with just, didn't you say you were going to quit? Because I got a lot of people messaging me going, Simo, we don't want you to quit. And maybe I expressed it in bad terms, but mine was never a farewell. Mine was only a video explaining how this season, there will probably be some games where I won't film a match preview, or some games where a match reaction will come later than ever. In fact, that's almost certain because of the time zone in Canada. So mine was never a farewell. Maybe I got the tone of the video wrong. Mine was just a way to warn the people going that if you ever don't see a video this season, you know why. And it's something that you should expect. But moving on, I don't want to quit. I don't want to quit. Why would I, quit 100%? That was never in my plans. I'm excited. I've got a lot to say in this not introduction, but in this first preview of the season. I want to speak about the game, of course. I want to speak about Fiorentina. We've had a great summer transfer window, and I just want to introduce the season because I did not have time to film a predictions video. I got back from Turkey yesterday at like 10 p.m. I'm back in Canada. I'm flying to Canada on Monday, and I land there, and then the game is in 20 minutes after. So it's like, yeah, I've got a lot to sort out. But yeah, so I didn't have time to film it. But I do want to speak about who I think. I mean, looking at the league like this and the teams like this, there's a clear favorite, and there's you can kind of outline how this season will look like, in my opinion. So there are a few things that I do want to go through. Starting off with maybe ourselves. I normally start with our opponents, but I would start with ourselves, and I would start with a little comment on the transfer window. Now, again, we've got 10 days to go until the transfer window officially ends, where I expect new signings. I mean, we basically today signed a new player. The Here We Go is not there officially, but Fabrizio Romano said that the deal is very close, signing a ductile player from Fenerbahce, Osterwolde, I believe, Dutch player, plays as a centre-back, can play as a wing-back, so he's a very versatile player. And then I still think we're going to get a left winger done. Again, it won't be a big name. It will probably be somebody on loan. But again, better having one than not having one. I think the transfer window this summer for me, Gasperini spoke today, and I think the press conference today was a very good press conference, in that he was very calm. Just like Gasperini said in the press conference, in the first press conference of the season today, I did expect that with the Champions League, it would be easier for us to sign players. This is something that hand on heart, I made the mistake in believing in, because the situation did not open up as clearly. We still are targeted by FFP. So even us in the Champions League hasn't massively changed the perspective of this financial fair play system against us. And this is something that Gasperini explained in the press conference today. Very calm, not in an aggressive way. He said that with the Champions League, I did expect that we would have more freedom in our transfer window. It wasn't like this, which then kind of explains why you've changed strategy in this transfer session. Because at the beginning, you were searching for a left winger and a right winger, and you were going offensive. And then as time went by, You actually changed strategy, and that's why you signed Rodrigo Mora. Rodrigo Mora ain't a left winger. That's something very important that people need to understand. I haven't seen much of the player, but I know who the player is. I remember him against us a few years ago when we played Porto. I've heard about him. I just haven't seen much of him because I don't watch the Portuguese league. But Rodrigo Mora is not a left winger. So anyone who thinks we signed Rodrigo Mora in that left wing position, somebody with incredible athleticism, somebody with incredible speed, dribbling skills, and what we need in that position, that ain't him. Rodrigo Mora is literally a Paulo Dybala who uses his right foot. So this change of strategy, I think, came because all of your first objectives didn't happen. Because you wanted to get Somerville. Of course, you can't match money from Saudi Arabia. You wanted to get Greenwood, and you can't match money that goes in Turkey. So the second these teams come and offer triple the amount that you want to offer, you're out of the race, and that's automatic. So I don't like when people blame Roma for not signing Greenwood, for not signing Somerville. There is nothing Italian football clubs can do. And I'm speaking about Roma because it's our club, but the same as Inter, Juve, Milan, Fiorentina, Como, Atalanta, Napoli. The second a Saudi team offers 10 times the amount that you offer, you're out of the race. And that's automatic. So I don't like when people go, oh, well, it's Roma's fault because we didn't sign Somerville. Oh, it's Roma's fault because you didn't get Greenwood. It's not your fault. Because you would have probably gotten these players if that alien wouldn't have come about. That money alien coming from Turkey or Saudi Arabia. I think a comment on the transfer window, I will give at the very end because it's still early days. Early days. We're coming towards the end, but in the last 10 days, everything can happen. Up to now, I would define it using the word smart. Smart because I think your team is more competitive than last season. And I think one of the reasons that makes me say this is because you managed to keep everyone. Now again, we've got 10 days to go, but I don't think with 10 days to go you will sell your big players. So you managed to keep everyone and add. And I think you've added with quality. For instance, Molina Cilic is an upgrade for me. Is an upgrade. Only if you compare the two in terms of experience, it's an upgrade. Moving forward, offensive threat, Molina is 10 times better than that guy. Defensively, I don't know. But again, as I said in the Molina video, Gasperini would rather an offensive wing back than a defensive one. Rodrigo Mora is an addition because we never really had anyone in that position last season. Yes, you had El Shaarawy, but you knew that El Shaarawy was going to leave last summer. So Rodrigo Mora numerically is not a qualitative addition because he's replacing El Shaarawy. But you knew that El Shaarawy is finished. So in that long-term vision, it's an upgrade. And don't even get started on the Castro, Dovbyk, Ferguson comparison because it's not even a comparison. So up there, in my opinion, you've upgraded as well. And in defense, you've added somebody that last season wasn't there because you managed to keep all of your defenders and you've added another centre-back that can change with Hermoso. You sold Angelino, who last season never played. And you got this guy that you're about to sign, Osterwolde. So the team is better than last season. But again, I still see a hole. And that hole is that proper left winger who you need to sort out in these last 10 days. I don't care who it is. But having a left winger or not having a left winger changes your season. Because up front, you all have very similar players. Dybala, Pellegrini, Sule and Rodrigo Mora are all similar, or all along the same lines of in terms of characteristics. You need somebody who breaks those lines. You need a proper left winger. And that's my last hope. If you manage to get a left winger done, I don't care who it is at this point. I've heard Jamie Bano-Gittins, that would be unreal. But I've heard Chelsea won't let him go on loan. But that type of signing would be unreal. And with that type of a signing, I think you've had a great transfer session. And I think what gives it for me is the fact that you managed to keep everyone. That shifts the balance a lot. Again, ideally, you need another centre mid as well. but that was never a priority this summer. That was only a priority if you would have sold Kone, but Kone apparently is going to stay. So yeah, this is my thoughts. But I'm curious to know your thoughts on the transfer session. So let me know in the comments and let me know your thoughts. Right. Okay, let's start speaking about the game and Fiorentina, and then at the end I will give a comment on the Serie A this season as a whole. If you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. You want to be here this season. We're back in the Champions League, of course. Yeah, it's very exciting. Again, there are going to be changes. There's going to be a bit less of me in a different location, different time zones, different times at watching Roma games. So there will need to be a level of adaptation coming from my side. But again, my goal this season is very simple. Doing all match reactions and doing the majority of match previews. That's it from me. That's it from me this season. You're not going to see more of me. You're not going to see live streams speaking and ranting about things. What you're going to see on this channel is match reactions. I will try and do them all. Maybe the day after, maybe a few hours after. That's something that I will need to learn with my new routine. And as many match previews as possible. But I will not guarantee you every single match reaction and every single match preview. That's the way I would define this season. But it's very exciting, so hit the like, subscribe, and do all of the good stuff down below. Look, we've got a tough game. In our opening game. It reminds me of last season when you played Bologna. But at the same time, I'm with the idea that I'd rather face these teams now than in a bit. Because at the start of the season, everyone roughly starts in the same place, and everyone roughly starts with the same physical conditions, athletic conditions. So Fiorentina have had a great transfer session. I'd argue Fiorentina has had the best transfer session in the Serie A this season. They needed a reaction from last season, also in terms of, their fan base. The owners knew that this summer they had to go big to kind of come to terms back with the fans because last season was horrific. So Como now want Ken. But Ken will probably be available on Monday unless Como can get the deal done today or tomorrow, which I highly doubt. But they've got a good team. They've added Mastantuono. They've added Atta, who isn't out for this game, but he could play and he's a great player. They've added Jimenez from Bournemouth, ex-AC Milan player. They've added Pellegrino from Parma, a very good striker. They've definitely become a better side. But again, I've always expected Fiorentina to be this. I always said how Fiorentina last season was an anomaly. Fiorentina last season was not normal. Fiorentina is a team that has got all the abilities to challenge for Europa League spots. All the abilities to challenge for Europa League spots. This season, and you will see that this season will be back in Europe. Whether it's Conference League, Europa League, or hypothetically the Champions League, I don't know. But my prediction is that Fiorentina will get back in Europe because that's where they belong. So first of all, they've had a great transfer session, but I like these tough games at the beginning because, especially at home, because you instantly get rid of them. I'd rather face Fiorentina now than in a few months, where potentially they're in a much better position to play. So at the end of the day, you have to face everyone. So whether you face them now or whether you face them in 3 months, it's the same thing. But I also agree with people who say that starting well is always a key. Yes, it is. Starting well is always vital, especially amongst this fan base and in this team. Last season we started great. We were on a run, and then that run stopped at home against Torino with that abrupt defeat. I remember very well. And then we won the derby, and we continued very well. Last season was a good start. We need to try and repeat that. Because starting well is always key in life, in football, to be successful. In the meantime, Neno, grazie mille per i 6 euro, sei un grande. Mercato da 6,5-7 per ora, obiettivo mantenere la Champions. Bro, bentornato, il viaggio con gli amici mi ha dato le vibes della caccia agli Orkuts. Sei un grande, bro, grazie mille. So, not an easy game. My predicted 11 for the first game is this, but the first few games is always the hardest to predict because we don't know who's actually fitter than the others. If Gasperini will put the new signings instantly or if he wants to wait. So the first few lineups are always the hardest to predict. I'm going to go with this one. Molina to start. Rodrigo Mora to start. I've read that he's trained well in these last few days. Gasperini did speak well about Sule in today's press conference, but I'm going to stick with this. Also because, you know why I think? I always believe in this fairy tale of new players instantly get that hype and score goals in the first game. I don't know what it is, but if I'm a player, young player like Rodrigo Mora, the first game of the season, I'm already hyped. If that game is at home, I'm even more hyped. And I believe in the theory that new players in opening games always play well. Now again, Rodrigo Mora for me, at time of speaking, won't be a starter in this team. At time of speaking, I still think that Dybala, Malen, and the left winger that we need to buy will be the three that start up front. But Rodrigo Mora is better than starting Sule in a different position with Dybala, forcing the two together, which I don't like. I've said it many times. Dybala at the moment is living a moment of gold. Scored in every game in pre-season, I believe, apart from the Brighton game, which we lost drastically. Fingers crossed. He didn't get injured in this preseason. He's had the entire preseason to get his muscles going. So Gasperini praised him in the press conference today as well. Dybala has had a great preseason. So you need to start Dybala because he's hot. Not in that sense. I mean, yes, he's a hot guy, but not in that sense. I mean, hot, like he's ready to go. And I still think Malen, at time of speaking, is the starter compared to Castro. I think Castro is the type of signing that in certain games you start both Malen and Castro with. But Castro is the type of signing that is perfect for the Champions League because Malen will have to be rotated. Malen is the starter. But I will open a parenthesis on Malen now. I think the chances of Malen repeating himself are quite slim. I'll be very honest when it comes to that. Because he's had such a good 6 months with us, it's typical. It's hard for him to repeat that. It will be hard for him to repeat that. So I also feel like the Castro signing is a smart signing because you know that if Malen and I predict that this season there's going to be a period where Malen won't score goals because it's just mathematically impossible for a striker to score like he's done in the last 6 months and continue to do it from the beginning of the season to the end. So there's going to be a moment this season where Malen will kind of be hit by a wall. There will, and it will be normal. And that's where Castro comes in. So I think the Castro edition was a very smart edition. Predict 11 is that. Standard in defense, Hermoso Ndika and Mancho, Molina, Cristante Kone, Wesley, Mora Dybala and Malen. That is my first lineup of the season. And my little comment on the league as a whole this season. There's a clear favorite. It's Inter. Inter are the team to beat. There's no surprise saying this. Inter are the team to beat. I also think Inter have added very intelligently. I think Stones, Spence and Jones are incredible additions. I think Inter have got an incredible defense this season because Bastoni, Akanji, Stones, Jed Spence, Di Marco, and they've kept Pavard as well. Incredible, a world-class defense. And they're still the best team in Italy. So they're the team to beat. That nobody hides this. I think Juve will have a good season. I think Juve will have a good season. But I also feel like Juve and Milan can and will want to win the Europa League. So I expect both of them to go far in their European competitions, something which this season could play in our favour. Because of course, win the Champions League, great, but you have to be realistic. It would be a miracle if we get past the round of 16, which means that from February to May, end of May, you've got one game per week. So that could play in our favour, and it could play against Juventus and Milan's interests if they actually do go far in the Europa League. I think Como will do good, but I don't think Como will repeat itself in the Champions League. If I had to give you my top four and my relegation, in fact, I'll give you my top seven and my relegation. I would go with Inter first. I'm going to go us second. Because I think you always need to improve your latest result. And I think Gasperini knows this well. And I think you're probably going to get knocked out of the Champions League by or before the round of 16. Which means you've got one game per week until May. And that's where the season gets decided. And remember, when we got eliminated from the Europa League against Bologna and played one game per week, we won a lot of games. So I'm going to put us second. I'm going to put Juve third. Napoli fourth. And then I'm going Milan and Como in the Europa League. And Fiorentina in the Conference League. That's my top seven. Relegation, I'm going to go Monza, Frosinone, and one between Lecce and Venezia. I do think that the universal fate will relegate Lecce this season if it sees that it deserves to get relegated like last season. Because Lecce are a team that literally has deserved relegation over the past 3 seasons and always managed to scrape it in the last game week. If Lecce go bad, they're going to get relegated. It's their time. It's their time to do it. Otherwise, I think it's going to be 3 up, 3 down. Monza, Frosinone and Venezia. My Champions League predictions, Roma to win it. No, I'm going to go Real Madrid to win it. Jose back, Jose to win it. And yeah, those are my predictions. Do you think Roma can win the league? Inter or better than you. I'll be honest with you. I don't know how you put this, but I definitely believe in it this season more than other seasons. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's the fact that we're back in the Champions League after a lot of time and all of the hype and Gasperini and trust in Gasperini's project. So I will be honest with you. I definitely believe in it more this season than what I believed in it last season or the year before that. But I don't think it's going to happen because Inter are better than you. And Inter dominated the league last season. And they've got the same exact team and added such good smart signings. Experienced players which in this league can and will make the difference. So I think Inter will win it again. I don't think Napoli are going to be that good this season. Again, Allegri, I don't understand how you go from Conte to Allegri. I mean, I get it in a way, but I don't in others. So I don't think Napoli will repeat itself. Milan, I think, is a huge gamble because Amorim and foreign managers in the Italian league, I don't know how well they go, and we know this quite well. Como, they're in the Champions League, which will get a lot of energies out of them. But I don't see Como in the top 4 again, but I definitely see them in the Europa League. Fiorentina to do better, and then I think Juve will do well because as much as I despise him, Spalletti's a good coach, and he knows what to do in this league. So yeah, those are my predictions. But yeah, let me read a few comments and then I'll let you go. Can Molina play? Yeah, he can. Yeah, no, you mean the Argentina ban thing? No, that doesn't involve club football. That only involves, I believe, official national team games. We wasted good money to get bench players. Total disaster of a transfer market. I disagree. I think it's a smart transfer session. Hopefully Dybala doesn't get injured often. He looked very good in preseason. Where do you think Mora fits in the 11 if we sign another left winger? If we sign another left winger, Mora is the perfect player that adds a lot of squad depth, because he's somebody that can easily start for you and somebody that would be very useful even getting subbed into games. Losing Chilik was our best move. We're going to get Gittins from Chelsea. It would be a great signing, but I don't think it's going to be that easy. We did good with their money situation. What do you think Malin will achieve on an individual level this season? Because I've heard a lot of talk about a season lesser than the last ever. Yeah, I mean, it would be very natural for him not to repeat himself. I wouldn't be that surprised if he doesn't repeat his season. Just like Evan Ferguson played well in his first game. Exactly what I mean. There's something about players hyping themselves up in the first game of the season because they want to show what they're all about, and we're playing at home. I'm not going to give predictions because it's always hard to predict these games, but hopefully we start with a good foot. Right, I'll catch you soon. Hit the like, subscribe. The game is, I leave on Monday at around 12 p.m. Rome time. I get there, and according to my maths, I get there basically around kickoff. So I probably won't watch the game immediately. I will probably rewatch it during the night. And I will probably film a match reaction either the next day or in a few days' time. I'll be jet lagged. I'll need a bit of time, to meet my roommates and all of that. So this is what I mean. Mine is not a farewell. I think a lot of people understood that I was quitting YouTube. I'm not quitting YouTube as of now, but it was just a video explaining to you guys that this season will be a bit different. So it was a video kind of asking you to understand me and my new routine and my new life and my new cycle of adaptation. So whenever you see a video, you see it. Whenever you don't see a video, you don't see it, and you shouldn't worry because this season is going to be like this. Sempre Forza Roma. If we can get 150 likes, it would be great. New season, back, starting in 2 minutes. We play on Monday, back in the Champions League. Do it, and don't be shy. Subscribe. I'll talk to you soon. Simo out.